Okay, I got to get on with this. I'm going to give you advice on how to help people that are Americans trapped in Israel right now. What happened was one of my friends, uh, sister contacted me and said one of my friends, another friend of mine, brother was in Israel, and she was really worried about what to do. And so I just got through talking to her on the phone, and I'm going to give you a bunch of advice, okay, on what I've done. I've been in a war zone in Iraq 2 months after 2003, 2 months after the heavy fighting ended. I was in Ivory Coast when it broke out in war. I've been in many dangerous places on the planet. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. So if you want to tell somebody what channel to look for, search for Andy Lee Graham YouTube. Okay, advice to Americans trapped in Israel. Okay, this is a very fluid situation, and everything's changing all the time. And you know, it's the confusion and the lack of communication, and a lot of times, um, many things that make people afraid. Okay, but be afraid and trust your instincts. But um, I am going to live tonight on the YouTube channel. I think it's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's, I think, 7 p.m. here in Guatemala. YouTube doesn't really tell me it doesn't make it, they don't make it make sense, okay? And I'll be live. That means you can chat and you can super chat. I will be very enforcing the rules, though, if anybody gets bad, whatever. Okay, so first of all, what you want to do when you're in a dangerous situation is hide in plain sight. That means you want to look like everybody else. Actually, the worst thing you can do is over fortify, go get guns and ammunition and all these things. Basically, that makes you a target. So, um, I will say that I offered to go get him, which she considered that one of the nicest things she ever heard is for me to say to do it. And I said, hey, I would love to go to Israel right now. I mean, I consider this one of the history in the thing. I was in the Gaza Strip. I was in Israel when they were giving the Gaza Strip back to this. So the place where they're fighting right now, I was in Israel at the time, staying in the Al Fazal Hotel hostel in my private room, which is a hostel, but I had a private room, and I was there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. Fireworks. Okay, but the term to remember, I learned this from elementary, Sherlock Holmes, is security by obscurity. You want to be secure because you're obscure, you're not really a thing. This gentleman is working for a very large corporation, which makes it more dangerous for him because he becomes a target. It's about the money, right? Follow the money. Basically, uh, most people volunteer to become a problem child. They got on the zipper break off. They got on the travel pants with the zip off legs. They've got the, camera on their shoulder. They look like a tourist and they think that this is intelligent. Okay, but you got to stop being, number four, stop being a target. What you got to put yourself in, if you pretend, I mean, use Charlie Munger's thing of invert this and go into that. What would you do if you wanted to find somebody to kidnap? Pretend you wanted to kidnap somebody and what you would do. He calls it inverse logic or something. Uh, so, inverted logic. Pretend you're wanting to kidnap somebody and what you would do. You would look for certain things. But I said if I was really afraid, these are not in any specific order in there, but you got a dog down here. If I was really afraid and I was in Israel, what would I do? I would go to the airport. I would sit there until they let me leave. I would go try to buy a ticket and leave. Problem is, a lot of airports will not allow you to enter the airport or get into the place where they're selling tickets unless you have a plane ticket. So to get to the actual inside the airport, you do it. So I was trying to instruct her on how to make a fake plane ticket so that she could get into the airport. But on the other side is what really rang true with her. They're trying to send him home, and he's had two planes canceled, but he's getting plane tickets all the way to the United States, which could be probably two transits. So normally they'd probably be Casablanca or Brussels or Amsterdam, New York City, and then the next place. Okay, so two transits. It's an easy ticket to get canceled, especially when airlines are going to lose money because of different things, people canceling all their tickets anyway, right? So they got a plane is selling two tickets. They're selling tickets to Israel and away from Israel. So they need both tickets. Right now, they're probably only getting tickets away from Israel, except for the 300,000 Israeli ex-soldiers, after army soldiers that are out running around. We probably had about 100 to 150 of them leave San Pedro, Lake Atalan. Okay, so you got to stop being tired. But pretend you're going to kidnap somebody. So what would you do? You'd look for somebody at a big corporation that goes to work every day by the same path, that does everything exactly predictable, walks around talking English. And because there's two different reasons to kidnap right now in Israel. One is for the social shame. They want to try to embarrass the United States or any other country, and the money. But the money is bigger when you're working for a corporation. So how do you prove you're going to a corporation? You walk right into that corporate headquarters, okay? So there's all sorts of things. But the biggest way people get in trouble normally is they try to think that force is powerful, like having a gun is powerful. That means that you become a target. Okay, so I do know that this guy is living in a small hotel, what he called a boutique hotel. I didn't like that. I didn't like to hear the word boutique. But if I really wanted to leave, I would just go to the airport. So I would make a fake ticket. But I would have 3 people calling the airport to make sure, if I could, what the rules are to get into the airport. Then I would make a ticket, or I'd even buy a real ticket. So she said, well, just buy any ticket and leave the country. Okay. So you probably could buy 3 tickets and then all on the same day, and one of the planes would leave, right? So maybe you can get, I don't know, $300, probably $350 tickets to Europe. I don't know. But buying last minute tickets can be either really cheap or they can be very expensive. But I would do it. But I would be searching on Kayak if that's available, or I'd be going to the airport and just trying to buy a ticket on the spot. But you can do it either way. You might try to get 3 tickets, right? 2 or 3 tickets for the same day. I would try to get to Brussels, Frankfurt, or Amsterdam, or the Netherlands, or maybe Casablanca, which is Morocco. And these would be sort of your big hubs leading out of things. I mean, yes, London would be easy, but Heathrow's a lot more complicated in a lot of ways. Okay, but you have to have somebody call the airport, talking in Hebrew, and you don't want to tell everybody where you're at, right? So the least number of people that know what you're up to. And again, you're hiding in plain sight, and you're being highly unpredictable. Okay, you don't go to the same coffee shop in the morning. You don't do any of these things. An American in Israel right now is maybe a target. Israel is one of the smartest countries on the planet. So, and they want you safe. You might be able to get a ride with the Israeli army to the airport. But I think the Tel Aviv, I'm not sure. I was in Israel for about a month. I think there's a train directly. It's 20 kilometers. The airport's 20 kilometers, I think, from Tel Aviv. And I think you can take a train directly to the airport. And I would try to arrive at the airport at like 7 o'clock in. But I was laughing with her. I would try to be on the first plane out. I said, isn't there movies about this? Like first plane out? Isn't there songs about it? So how do you be the first plane? You see people lining up to get on a train, lining up to get on a plane, fighting to get in line. And you don't want to do this on the internet if you can avoid it. But you might get, not every airport will let you in. So I don't think the Israeli airport's going to let you in there without a plane ticket. But you can have fake ones, real ones, whatever. A plane ticket anymore is just, it can be a screenshot, it can be everything, but it's going to have to be current and whatever. But embassies, she said he registered with the embassy when he went over there to work. He's working on a 4-month stint, and he registered. And that's the absolutely, in my opinion, the worst thing you can possibly do is register with the United States Embassy, because inside the embassy is first generation Mexicans, first generation Guatemalans, first generation. They are not true blood, die hard Americans that believe in the country. They're basically people that want money and they get a job and they want to be on the fence. So I truly believe that the people in the United States Embassy in Guatemala, Mexico, Costa Rica are all corrupt and helping people to get visas and whatever. So you don't really want to register with the embassy, because then they just got a checklist on who to. I mean, if they're really smart, they get this list and they know who to go kidnap, right? So it's a laundry list of who to go kidnap if you register with the embassy. But he's already done that. Embassies are very dangerous places. That is, there's people always in embassies that are kind of like collecting information for different reasons. Okay, so but you're trying to be obscure. You don't want people to know what you're doing. First plane out. Okay. You got to make sure the airports in Tel Aviv is open 24 hours and you can stay there and until they put you on a plane. But I would get a one-way ticket for the shortest amount of distance with the least amount of cancellation problem. So Casablanca, anywhere you want to go, but a one-way ticket and no transits, right? So you want a plane ticket with no transits, so that the chances of them having two planes, they cascade down. If one plane gets canceled between, say, New York and Chicago or something, they'll cancel the whole flight on you, right? But he's got his ticket. What she didn't really want to accept is he's had 2 plane tickets get canceled. He's trying to leave. But if he really wants to feel safe, he might just go to the airport and stay there until he leaves, because that's probably one of the safest places in the country to do it. But in number 11 I had here is call audible. Anything I will tell you today, I do not want you to carte blanche believe that that's the way to do it. You always have to trust yourself, use your own free will, and make decisions as to what is the best next step, because it's a sequence. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and things change in the thing. So you got to always be ready to do a call audible. That's a football term for at the line of scrimmage calling a play. Okay, but what gets us in trouble, and number 12 I had here, is habitual behavior. You go to the work the same way every day. You get off the thing. You wear the same clothes. You're needing to go native right now. You need to look exactly like an Israeli walking around. So basically, how are they going to know you're not an Israeli? You start talking in English. You're wearing some type of tourist clothing. You're going to tourist places. You're going to places where they know you. Go to the coffee shop where they know you. And the coffee shop people are not going to necessarily turn you in. The hotel people are not going to sell you. See, they could sell you. And they're not going to sell you. You're a commodity at a point when and anywhere in the planet. Mexico is probably the most dangerous place on the planet for getting kidnapped. You're of value. You can be kidnapped, held hostage, and a corporation, they double dip it by getting the family and the corporation to do it. The United States will not pay they won't pay for any kind of, to get anybody out of kidnapping. They won't pay for that. But the person will do it and the corporation will do it. There's a train but you got to hide in plain sight, to have security by obscurity. You got to think of all your habits. Again, reverse it and pretend what you would do if you was going to. You would try to find somebody that walked down a a dark alley at 7 o'clock in the morning, and and they do it every single day. That's what you would do certain things, right? And you want to know they were worth money. So this guy wearing a corporate shirt like Microsoft or whatever every day of the week is doing it. So you should never in a foreign country be telling everybody how value valuable you are. Often people have this big wad of this big stupid size billfold on their butt. I don't carry these things. I have secret pockets in my thing, and I don't carry a billfold. Anybody that wears has a big fat billfold in the back, I consider them an idiot. When you're wearing that anywhere on the planet, in the United States, anywhere, why don't you just say, "Get me. I'm a target." Demonstration of higher value. And it's a habit, and it's a dangerous habit. Okay. What's really good about Israel, I was in Israel like, I don't know, 10 years ago for about a month and a half or something like that. As best I know, the military people were carrying guns, so this is kind of a valuable thing. The people were in uniform, these green uniforms. I was getting on buses. I've seen people carrying rifles with them on the bus. I don't know if they still do that or not, but if I went to Israel right now, I'd be figuring out the situation, and I'd start doing searches all the time. I would really love to go to Israel right now because it's current events, it's history in the action. It's a horrible thing, and they're going to. This is going to change the flavor of all of the Middle East. I think Hamas is an idiot. Basically, in Iran, probably just sacrificed these dinglings. They don't realize that all the Hamas are probably going to get almost killed or put in prison, and Iran's just funding it. So they're basically enslaving these guys with their stupid actions and using it under the guise of the religion. Israelis are dangerous. They carry guns. They're after army. Most of the people have been in the service, so a lot of them are. It's a very strong people, which makes a lot of the wimpy U.S. people and Europeans angry. And I enjoy strong people, but right now we got a generation, millenniums, that are a bunch of wimps, okay? And I don't know what to say. I don't even want to talk to them. But this guy inside the country, don't be very careful if you talk to the police. The police are generally not the best advice, okay? But Israel is a little bit different. But you understand that if you go up and you start talking to the police, somebody can always overhear these conversations and know you're speaking English. Okay. How much money should a person have? A person should have, in my opinion, about 2 months worth of living. That means they got to figure out what their daily expenditures are and have that 2 months of that in cash, carrying, not necessarily carrying with them, but hidden. I often hide money outside the room. Okay, I don't hide money in the room. I hide money in the room when it's, according to the situation. I adapt. But if you're spending $150, $200 a day, you need at least 60 times 200. That's how much money you need to be safe in a country like Israel. They can shut off the electricity, the water, the things. Right now in Guatemala, we've had a 5-day strike. There's no boats going across the lake unless you take a charter. And I had a guy the other day said he was good for about a week. And I go, good for about a week? I'm good for at least 3 months. Okay, but if I was him, I'd be moving into a cheaper location. Okay, but in Israel, anywhere you go abroad, you should have a certain amount of cash. I'd love to talk to corporations and just tell them common sense. And everybody understands this is common sense. But only about 7% can really understand a strategy. So they have to have almost a rule book on what they should do. And most of the things that corporations do is the opposite of what they should be doing. But you would go to the airport like 6 o'clock in the morning. When I left Ivory Coast and they had cars rolled over, burning and stuff, and people were walking around with big clubs and stuff, we left at like 5:30 in the morning, just a little bit before sunrise, and we took a thing. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and that probably made me think. But I went to the airport, lived next to the airport until the plane left. So in a way, if this gentleman would move right next to the airport. He might walking distance because you never know what it's going to do. The breakdown of transportation, 20 kilometers from the airport's a long way. So move into a nondescript, no name hotel, the cheapest, most thing. They're going to go after the big hotels because they want to make a, a sign. If the hotel really isn't afraid, they're going to refuse to let you move into the hotel. That's a signal of danger. But you want to take an early trip to the airport. You don't want to go at 10 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to get caught up in traffic. You don't. You basically want to. Very hard to say how to get to the airport. But if there's a train leaving at first thing in the morning, and you don't want anybody to know what you're doing. Okay, but we tell people accidentally what we're doing, and the friend of a friend tells somebody, and they tell the wrong person by accident. Taxis are incredibly dangerous. Anytime you're isolated. I was reading the travel government page on Guatemala, and they're recommending you charter a boat on Lake Atalanta to go across it. That's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. You want to be with a group where they can't kidnap you. Basically, they can take this boat, drive over the edge, knock you, kill you, take all your money, and you got everything on you because you chartered a boat and you're with your backpack. Carrying your full gear with all your stuff is the most dangerous time because it's demonstration of higher value. So, I mean, in a way, if he went to the airport with none of his gear, I mean, none of his backpacks or anything, just basically a carry-on bag, and he ditched his uh, no baggage, no luggage, it would be less conspicuous, right? So again, you want to look just like the average blow. When you're pulling one of them trolley carts and you got on those travel pants and you got that little floppy hat and you got that Canon camera hanging off in there and you got this stupid wife on the right of you, you're not smart. Okay, no luggage. A predetermined taxi reservation can be very dangerous. I really try to get on the spot things. I don't like to ever basically tell people what I'm doing when I'm in danger. I basically am very highly unpredictable. But you're going to tell plans accidentally. It's hard to kidnap a crowd. It's hard to pull you from a crowd. It's hard to think. They got to get you isolated. That's why a boat on the lake is easy to isolate. The driver just drives over to the shore and he's got you. He gets on his phone. He calls somebody on the shore. We got a ding-a-ling. We got one guy that just flashed $500. Let's beat him on the head. And even if they beat you on the head, what are they going to do? It's your word against their word. I mean, a guy can almost get away with it. But the bigger the company, the bigger the target. The one reason I say the bigger the city, the bigger the problems. Okay, so I always like to stay in a city that's less than about a mile across, so I can walk the whole city and I can really always get back home without having to hook into anything. But after sunset, thanks. But most criminals will not wake up at 6 o'clock to go do something. Okay, they're just too lazy for that. They're basically they're the screw ups of the planet. Okay, and Hamas is incredibly dangerous. So you probably want to wait until about 30, 40 minutes after sunset so there's a crowd, right? You don't want to go outside in the middle of nowhere because they can do anything they want. That would be isolating yourself. But you got to really think this over and say, what would I do if I was going to reverse it? What would I do if I was going to kidnap you? What would I do? Do what Charlie Munger says. He's Warren Buffett's best investor friend. Here in Israel right now, they're wanting to embarrass the thing. I mean, we've got all these idiots in the United States protesting, helping Palestine and whatever. And Israel, as far as I'm concerned, should just push everybody out of the country and put up a huge wall and not allow any Palestine. This is a Jewish state. They should make it a Jewish state, and they should get rid of everybody that's not Jewish, okay, unless they're doing business. But this idea of intermixing with Muslims is just insane. And they got Sharia law, and they got all these insane things going on. What ideally, I think, they would always try to do is send a missile or something to hit a plane and take it down. When would the best time for that be to do it? Well, it's not going to be at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I don't know. Maybe leaving at a 2 o'clock airplane would be better, right? 2 o'clock in night. So you might arrive at the airport and not leave till 3 o'clock in the morning. What's the best time to do it? It's probably, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning, right? So missiles, these rocket, these they would love to take planes down. Okay, I ask her. First thing I ask him is ask her the age, and I ask him, can he walk? Because if you can't walk, and you can't walk 5 miles, you got to do different things. I ask, is he fat? I asked him. I knew what kind of color was. Fortunately, he's a little brownish skin color, and I want to know if he has any common sense. She's already proved to me he has common sense because he's already tried to leave the country twice on a plane. But he tried to get the thing. I said, just get the plane to Brussels or Frankfurt and then buy the next ticket. Or you can buy both tickets, two separate tickets, right? You can have them all and you can lose money, right? You can buy transferable tickets, okay? And he's letting the corporation control his lifestyle. That's like letting a corporation decide what you want to eat. Corporations are not in the business of health. A corporation is in the business of making money. So they add additives to the food. A corporation isn't, they've got some ding-a-ling making plane tickets. Take control of your life. When you're in danger, take control of your life. How do you know you're in danger? You start looking for weapons. I don't think this man fit. Any kind of thing on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you got to remove yourself completely from these organizations. That is one of the things they're trying to do. They're trying to get people on Twitter and Facebook and whatever, and they're trying to get them to put videos of them getting killed and stuff on there. So you got to remove yourself from things. Staying patient. How to stay patient is to keep your mouth closed. The more you talk, the more you prove that you're in trouble. People don't normally, they don't go after people that are quiet and deliberate. I mean, look at everybody in the eye. I look at everybody. I give them the eye of the tiger. But, you don't want to sit there and be passively walking down the hot sidewalk. You got to have your head on a swivel. But no regular pass. This is the biggest deal for him right now is he can have no regular pass. He can have no regular things he does. He's got to be totally spontaneous in everything he does. I would be all packed and ready. And I have a way of packing my bag so that I have the stuff that I need to change my clothes and do all the stuff in the top of my bag. And all this stuff below is just sort of extra. I do think that when you're in dangerous situation, you should instantly communicate with the major players that care about you. Okay, you got to care about them more than you care about yourself. Don't say it's later. It's so important that you relieve this social stress. But you're a commodity. You're for sale. So anybody can sell it. So your best friend can sell you because he or she is not going to do the kidnapping, right? So you're a commodity. You can make, I don't know, maybe make $1,000 selling your corporate working person, rich corporate person to a Palestine person to kidnap. And people will do that. Well, how much will people sell you for? Very little. Whatever you do, do not lie. Because when you lie, if you can learn, when you're tempted to lie, don't say anything. I was just reading Lee Child's, these Jack Reacher things, books, and he basically will not talk to the police. Do not lie. How do you do that? You don't talk. Man. Don't explain things. Basically, one-way communication. Basically, try to collect information. Do not give information. You might want to talk to different people and ask them where all the suicide bombers have been, because normally there's sort of a pattern, like certain pizza places, certain types of restaurants, and certain things. There is a stereotype of where they're going after to get the most amount of killing. Uh, I would probably be eating street food in Israel. I would not be going into restaurants at this time. Stop talking English as you're walking down the street. Don't be sitting on the phone talking with people. When you're talking on the phone or you got those headsets on, I think people with headsets on these things, they ought to be robbed. Okay, they deserve to be robbed. Okay, they're basically taking away one of their five senses, hearing. Somebody could be running up on you and you wouldn't hear them running to do it. I've turned around ready to fight because people ran up on me. Bigger problem is traffic, and it can drive over you. But if you're not aware and your head's not on a swivel and you're not looking around and you're not doing anything, you just basically got your head down, talking on the phone, headsets, you deserve what you get. And some people do tempt people too much. And I don't know. I just don't feel sorry for them when they go to this level. We're humans. We have the ability to adapt. And you always, the person's always, there's people that 90% of people believe it's never going to happen to them. It's complete surprise when it happens to them because they didn't think it's possible. It's always possible. You're going to have to be real careful where you move to. You can't really move. I would say probably staying where you're at and trying to do. I guess if I was there, I would get on the plane. I would just go to the airport, and I would sit there until my plane left. The plane, they're not going to like that, and they're going to tell you not to do that because they don't want you to have congestion at the airport. But if I could sleep at the airport, I would do it. But the other thing is to cross the border and leave. I think the only border you could go across would be the Jordan, but I think he's got a passport that's been stamped, so he's kind of in trouble. They normally didn't stamp my passport when I went into Israel, so I think I left from Israel and went to Jordan. But Jordan, all borders are open. They're saying to Guatemala, you can't get to the border, blah, blah, blah. You can always find transportation. They're making big money going across the lake right here, right now. They're charging 500 Q, which is, I don't know, $65, $70 to charter a boat across the lake. And they're probably making more than the 20 people at 25 Q, okay? Okay, people can sell you. No border is ever closed. I often go to the place when I'm moving around the country. I go to the juncture, the place where the next transfer point. So like when I left Ivory Coast when it broke out in war, I went right and got a hotel right next to the airport, and I stayed there until my plane left. So I was in this airport for 3 days. It was torture. They had porn on the frickin' channel, and my girlfriend was with me. Oh my gosh, the first time she ever seen porn. This was absolutely a tough time for 3 days. First time she ever seen porn. No border. You got to know when your passport is stamped. A lot of people wait to the last day to do their laundry, to get their passport stamped, to leave the country. You always need like 3 days at least for all these things. You don't want to have your clothes washed on the last day. You need to have it 3 days before. The U.S. Embassy is a target. They bombed the U.S. Embassy in Iraq when I was there, right? In Iraq, before I went there, they had bombed the U.S. Embassy. Private transportation early in the morning. Whether you take private or public is really a call audible. Okay, the easy airports to get to the United States would be Brussels, Heathrow, London, Netherlands, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, or Munich, or maybe Paris, France. I would only buy tickets on Expedia because Expedia is the only one that I could guarantee actually is using vendors that are pretty much guaranteed they're going to honor their tickets. But I do a lot of searches on kayak, almost always searching on kayak and buying on Expedia. I do searches in Europe. I might be real tempted to do a Skyscanner. You can also buy direct from the airport. That's getting to be more difficult. Okay, there's not a guarantee that you can buy directly at the airport. I would think they're going to make it happen if you was in the airport, though. You just want a really quick jump. Which country? So look on the map and see which countries are very close and safe to do it. But I mean, the price of the ticket and the price of the hotels are going to go up. Um, you want to be able to communicate with people that are conscientious, continuous communication, contiguous communication. They can remember what you had the conversation about the day before. And so conscientious, continuous, contiguous communication is what the desire with anybody you're dealing with. And this is one of the problems. Like if you had a tour operator and they don't return, they're worthless. They got to be able to continually communicate with you to make you feel safe. And a lot of people think, oh, I'll do that later. Get around to it is basically the sign of a non-conscientious person. So you can always test out. You know, I had Malcolm that was saying how he would write a hotel 2 or 3 times to see if they would reply back before he would move to that hotel in another country. And I do that sometimes on Facebook. And if they don't, if they won't reply to an email, phone call, or whatever, I don't really want to do business with them because they're not conscientious, they're not continuous communication, they're not contiguous, and they're not conscious, continuous, contiguous communication. But everybody deserves a short communication that you're doing business with. So anybody that's trying to help you needs to do it. So like if this gentleman wanted me to come take him out of the airport, take him out of Tel Aviv, I would be communicating with me. I would make sure I have internet and I could communicate with him 24 hours a day until he's out of the country. Why? Because I'm good. Because that's what a conscientious person would do. I'm actually thinking I should go buy internet connection on my phone so I can have a backup for this go live tonight. I don't have any internet on my phone right now. And it's 7 o'clock at night. It's the worst possible time for internet connections, even though my hotel hardly has anybody in it. Number 64, don't stick to any rule. Please. There is no such thing as a rule that's written in rock. You always got to trust your instinct and make call audibles. You always got to sit there and evaluate the situation. Is the next best step, the next step okay to do? Can I make the next move? So the safest way to move through a country is slow sequence, like 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, 3 days. I've done this through many countries. I just did it in Nicaragua. I went all over the place, stayed like a week in each place. This when you get close to, like when I went into Iraq, I went into Silopi, Turkey. Is that right? Silopi, Turkey. I went right to the border of Turkey, sit on the border for about a week, and I listened to people leaving the country of Iraq before I went in there. I wanted to hear the current, because the information knowledge of the next village is a lot better than somebody getting on the internet in the United States. That's just what a wanker does. Basically, get on the internet. Get on the internet. That's the worst possible place for information most of the time. You got to have somebody that has some sort of look you in the eye credibility. I offer to go. I'm also available to talk to groups. I just thought I'd tell you that. I would actually like the idea of talking to countries. I'd love to talk to San Pedro and tell them what they're doing wrong with they put all these really beautiful things down to the thing, but none of it's set up for older people that need a hand. A lot of these hotels have no clue what they're doing as to how to make their hotel, easier. But most people just don't seem to care. Okay, I'm getting on at 7 o'clock, I think Guatemala time, which would be 9 o'clock New York City time, East Coast time, that's Indiana time, all through there. Tonight, live. I will probably keep it pretty short unless people start sending me super chats, which is a way to give me money. I do this for fun and money. I'm going to do it I'm going to do it quite often, but you can always go to my YouTube channel, Andy Lee Graham, and right now it'll send you a notification. And But don't expect me to put up with any kind of troll or anything like that. If I see names that are weird, I don't like. I like to answer when I see the name, the full name there. I'm much more think like if you write me an email, my hoboontheroad at yahoo.com is my email, hoboontheroad at yahoo.com. But if it doesn't have a full name, I'm just gonna block it. Okay, I'm not going to have any use for people that are doing any kind of thing. I guess I'm too smart for that stuff anymore. I just have realized that the internet has turned people into some of the most evil people on the planet. You got to look what's happening in the United States right now. And it's politicians will get up there and just lie. Everybody, there's no social shame at all. You can say anything and everything, right? It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But a person that says what they're going to do and does it is what you want in life. And a conscientious, contiguous communication. I block a lot of people that are not capable of doing this because they can't remember what we talked about the last time. So why am I talking to them? We're not friends. You basically can't remember our last conversation. I I meet people on the fly. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Traveled and lived abroad for 15 years in 114 countries. I probably crossed the borders into countries, I don't know, probably at least 300 times, at least. I have no clue. It's too many times. It's been going on for 25 years. I'll be here till January 15th at least, probably. And so if anybody wants help coming down there, I think I'm going to charge $100 and I will make sure you get from the airport all the way to a hotel in any of the cities you want here. And I will help you to do that. I would probably spend about 3 hours doing that. I'm not going to spend more than 3 hours because if nothing else, after 3 hours, you should take a hotel and then start walking around on your own. Okay, but I'll make sure that you're landing in a hotel and you're safe. And because the trip from Guatemala City Airport to here is a little difficult. Right now is a great time to come to San Pedro because all the Israelis just left, and there's probably going to be overabundance of hotel rooms, right? I mean, we probably had 100 to 150 Israelis leave this place. The whole one end of this strip here is probably going to go broke because all they did is cater to Israelis. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham, hoboontheroad at yahoo.com. Anybody that has any inkling of not being 100% contextually, they're basically not showing my whole picture. They just want to say hi to me. Don't do that. Okay, if you want to give me information of valuable, anybody that would want some help getting somebody out of Israel, I'm more than willing to talk to you and help to walk you through it. If in dire situations you want me to go there and remove your friend from the country, I'll do that too. I would love to go to Israel right now. I would love it because to me it's current events travel, and I see it as a risk that is worth it. Okay, it's not. It's the world takes advantage of easy targets. Okay, and there's ways to travel that doesn't make you an easy target. Okay, I'm here and you're not. Why not? I'm living in a $200 a month. My home this month is $200. A tiny home. I have a tiny home for $200 with a kitchen, with a out. I'm just got a wonderful room, right?